everyone, welcome back. Today I want to put the animation tool and use it with the actual main project, or main scene for the player, just to get it working and have something for it. So let's simply add an animation tool that we have made. Thing to animate the player. Yeah, the animation tool is already good on its own. Then we want to go to an attack. The special move has an animation. Let's reset this attack animation stuff here. Let's add some code to this script, which is the animation code that we made before, which takes this value stuff. It's sitting, working. So instead we will delete this right here. Okay. Remove this. Let's this like that. And then this. Okay. Yep. Now I should be taking in the value for the spacing right here. And to do that, what do I need to do? What do we have references to? Do we have a player reference? Not in the attack manager, or not in the attack. Then again, this might not actually be the right spot for this stuff. This function should definitely be somewhere. This signal as well needs to be in the same spot. The animation stuff will be resource here. If we go to the attack manager and put the function and signal here instead. The tween doesn't exist anymore in this location. Let's go to here. Let us remove this portion, which is being replaced by the other function we made last time. Yep. And instead call animate. wiht, that's all the errors that make sense. This is spelled wrong. So we want to start an animation. What we need is the is facing right of the entity. So post dot is facing right. And the other thing we need is the animation resources, which comes from the current attack. Now that that's been separated, save. But the quarter circle, down quarter circle, forward light kick is done, theoretically, except this is nil, which is bad. Go here. To add new animation resource. Smoothing curves, smoothing curve, resets, linear, percent constant, also constant. What I'd like is time and frames, displacement to be 300x in the first one. And then same thing for these ones. And then 300 in the Y. I want the Y curve to go from the highest speed to lowest speed. The X curve can be linear. Alright. And then I want it to go up, so negative 300. And then run the scene. Is that the correct thing? Yes. Down forward light click special. Okay. It ran correctly for part of it. Where's the thing is not animating. Is this set correctly? No. This has a signal that should be connected to the tool. Run it. Okay, 300 is a lot more than I thought. 48, 352, close enough. Okay, so that is correct, and it works. And I need to remember that there's a signal for this. Animation is in its own thing. Okay, now I want to animate the projectile. I want to give it its own animation tool. This inspector thing to animate, projectile. Okay. Then in the projectile, which should I be? Yeah, here. This has move attached entity. What happens if I replace specifically just this line with animate? Which I still need to define first. So go back to the code, get the signal and the function, go to the projectile, add the signal and the function. The animation resource comes from the attack. Would that be correct? Or would it not be correct? No, I don't think that would be correct. I think it would make more sense to be the projectile. Because if you want to animate the projectile should animate it, while the attack should animate the player. Just to have separate things. Additionally, there was something here maybe in the past for that. Okay. Hit back, hit stun, block stun, hit tag, etc. Stun away, stun right. Okay. So in that case, I'd like to add the array as an export to the projectile. Now I need to actually get the things in. This part probably not to be there, and the is facing right. Attack manager dot host is facing right. Okay. If I comment out this line and connect the signal properly, from the projectile to its animation tool, connect. Oh, run the scene. Wait, I never gave the projectile its resource components. add elements, elements, quick load, curve 1, curve 2, curve 3, curve 4, run it, and then the projectile. It did not move at all. It gave a ton of errors. Cannot convert bool to array. Is this in the projectile? Yes. So this curve doesn't exist for some reason. Are we sure that it doesn't exist? Because it looks like they exist. They look like they exist to me. None of them are null though. All the curves are in fact a real thing. Hmm. Damn it. Try again now that those have been removed. Nope. Okay. On a null value. Why is it null? Smoothing curve X I saw is defined. Y is defined between parallel. This is done by the projectile. Animation tool. Is it possible that I did not do one of the two connections right? Why this time? Let me try attach to entity then. See if either of the two loops work. Did I spell position wrong again? It doesn't look like it. What's the difference between that and the one above? That's the same. That's the same. It's right. What is part in this case? The animation stuff that is obtained. I go to output. It says resource stuff the right number of times, so why is it not working? Double check that this is the right animation stuff. Okay. Seems to be right. So why is it broken? Did I need that on the player's attack manager for that or no? Don't remember if I sent both. I sent both for that. It is not null, so why is it saying it's null? I think it's saying the card is null, and I don't know why. Dude. Animate takes in the animation stuff. Type mismatch between initial value and quote and vector 2. This is a vector. This should be multiplied by something. Mm, direction, correction, 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 need a variable equals int of is underscore facing right times 2 minus 1 and multiplied by this here and here. It's attached, but it's just not in the right spot. I think it's starting repeatedly, which might be the problem. Move, when is move called? If is active, move. Start animation should only be called once, not multiple times. Var is moving, is underscore animated. Equals bool equals false. Since this only sends a signal, it doesn't actually have a way to kill the animation, which is a little bit annoying. Not an easy way to kill the animation. Also make that signal something that can be called as well. Via signal. Okay. If is animated equals false. Do that. Else. Start animation. Just animates a signal, which is not an access point to the animation tool. And that is a bit of a problem, because then I can't animate the projectile how I'd like it. So then how do I stop the animation? By canceling the animation. By killing the tween. And resetting the projectile. If is active. I don't do anything with the is animated, which is a problem. I don't kill the tween, which is also a problem. Self dot tween doesn't have a tween. If I run this, it should stop the projectile from doing one of the problems. Okay. Clear animation pool. That's fine. Interesting. They're causing errors for some reason. Even though they're separate objects. Wait, what? Which objects? Yeah. That's a problem. Okay, so the projectile is sort of doing its animation kind of properly, but not really. The get velocity y and get velocity x. When called, so first off, what input does that actually get started by? Okay, two errors show up when you do down forward, quarter circle forward, light kick. And consistently as well. Or no, only after the attack ends. So there's a 0 or infinity. Because of get velocity x. Or get velocity y. But then why is the thing actually working properly? It's working perfectly fine. Why am I getting that error? Velocity was not 0. Nor was it infinity. Get velocity y, get velocity x. Was it because I set one of them to 0? And the other not to 0? Yeah, that's probably more likely. Okay. Now this thing. Wait a second. It's not flipping like it should. Hmm. how do I stop it if I get hit? Because right now that functionality doesn't exist and doesn't seem particularly great without exporting it as well. Because then I'll just go like animation tool dot export. Wanted to use a signal, but I might just end up turning it into an export variable again. Yeah, all exports are the same. It's just, I don't know if I like that. Okay. This may have to be redone if I want it to work with the tweens properly. In addition, because of where the tweens are created and what's manipulating it, it is not possible to kill the tween without getting the reference of the signal to whatever it's connected to. Hmm. Would it make sense for one of the hurt boxes to just emit a signal? Right now I believe it's the hurt hitbox that actually emits a signal, or does anything for the attack, if it's hit or not. Yeah, the block check is done here, the damage function itself is called here. I may want to put a signal. So, to do, consider putting a signal here for the damage function to tell projectiles to stop when I'm hit. When entity is hit sometimes. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little tired of stuff again. So I so the projectile has a bunch of stuff. It has its own speed. It has its own active frames. It has a timer that is connected to if the entity or not. The speed should not exist for the animation. Where does that break? Nor should the active frames, because those are both part of the actual animation resource. So let's go to those. The timer. Why would we need it now? Because we have time and frames for the animation. What is the timer for? When I can just check if the projectile is being animated or not. So then all of this, or actually no, that dies. This, if removed, break square here. The timer is what? Okay. Okay. Let's remove this as animated variable as well. My brain. I think it's the headphones. I'm crushing my skull. Maybe. Okay. Uh, so I know the plane works. At this point, it might be just like main 2. Alrighty. If is active, when is this changed to true? Not here. Is it done in the attack manager? There is an attack manager. Okay, projectile. So it is changed true then. We would start the animation. Then, when it needs to be false, we would end the animation. I guess it could be another signal. Signal to animation. If timer is stopped, so we're using a timer. And stop, stop, stop. I could just start over. Just start over. This is a good function. We're keeping it. Move is maybe okay. Function main. All right. So, if is active, do the for box boxes box dot disabled equals false. All right. And if this is equal to false, this should be true. Okay, currently we don't use the timer as far as I can tell. Anywhere. Okay. Actually, the timer seems reasonable for lifespan. Is active projectile, the animation resource. If I click active frames is a thing that is still considered according to that, but it's actually not there. So let's go to this and make it an export var max lifespan. This makes more sense. Int in frames. Okay. I think this is reasonable, but I don't know if that's going to work with the tween. I forget how my projectile worked before the tween. I'll probably kind of go for undo. This I think is the original function as is. Run it. Sometimes it doesn't have any of the things it needed. Set the frames 50, speed facing right 20, run it. 300. Attach to entity means it moves with me. It doesn't flip, which is reasonable. Unattached to entity, meaning it moves on its own, independent of me, in any way, shape, or form. Okay, let's go back and control Y, back to where we were. Current direction is not used. Okay, so 22. If the thing has turned active, enable the projectiles. If it is not active, disable the projectiles. Makes sense to me. And then additionally, if life, max lifespan, frames, or no, timer dot is stopped, disable these. Okay. But how is it started? How is that timer decided? In the projectile. If is active is true and timer is stopped. If the timer is stopped, timer dot start frame timer with the max lifespan in frames. Then turn on all the boxes. Disable equals 8. Why do I feel like there's a problem here? I don't remember how I did this exactly in the last time. So, if active is set to true, that means the thing is running. The timer should have started already at some point. But did it start on its own, or what? If the timer is not running, start the timer. am I supposed to do here? If the projectile is supposed to be on, then the timer should be on as well. Then when the timer stops, if the timer stops, is active should be set to false. So you should turn off everything after the lifespan has ended. But is active is true and timer is stopped. Start the timer. If it's true and the thing is stopped, start the timer, running, wait frames is stopped if the frames equals 0, return true, reset. Somehow I have failed to make this simple on myself. Why do I not remember how I made this thing? When do I start the timer? Where do I start the timer? When do I stop the timer? If the timer is active and it is stopped, start it. Okay. But then, if active is false, it should reset it. When is active turned off? It's not turned off currently. When is active supposed to turn off? When the lifespan exceeds itself, or kill is called. Doesn't the timer have something? Start frame timer, stop process. No signal? Great. Well, the timer will expire on its own. When that happens, it will stop running. Stopped will be true. But since the projectile is considered active, it will stop it. Do I check if it's not active first? How the heck did I do this before? Really? I started a timer when it is not active. And that's every single frame that it's not active. Okay, that's neat. But then what? At the same time, if we're starting the timer like every single frame and we start the tween every single frame, da, da, da. Hmm. I guess the lifespan should be separate than the animation. Let me separate those then. Chunk, lifespan, check. Um, if it's not active, this timer should be on. As timer, if either time. If it's active, start the. If it's not active, start the timer. Then, if the timer stops, set this to false. reset. If it's active, enable the hitboxes. More like enables or active. Check. Lifespan check. So check if the thing is running, if it's not running, or check if it's active. Complete, keep the timer ready at the whole number. Then once it's running, it will check if it's stopped. If active is true, those boxes will enable. Otherwise, it will disable. If it's active, I feel like this is unoptimal because it's just like constantly starting the timer, not one time starting the timer. We'll come back to this another day. Make the projectile work with the tween tool now. Okay. What considerations are there for the tween tool right now that are being a little bit of a problem? For one, I don't actually have the ability to just cancel the tween tool or stop it from running. I can't just kill a tween from anywhere. I have to kill it in the tool. In that case, it could be a signal that's like kill tween. But then where would that be? You'd be receiving a signal maybe. But how do I emit that? Make that emit easily or something? The tag manager and the stun manager would emit a signal to the animation tool. The stun manager would probably be the one with like kill tween. So if anything, this would be the one that would have a host of the animation tool. Stun manager, shift at export animation tool. specifically the player animation tool, and that would be this one. And then starts done with clean. This can be redone if host clean, yada, yada, yada. Either, what would I actually be doing here for the animations if I wanted to make it use the animation tool for it? First off, I need to kill whatever the previous tween is. Then I'd have to use the attack data. Stomach. Hmm. To do use the new animation tool for the stun. Sure. If it makes sense. Otherwise, keep as is. I don't know, I might need that behavior base. This is just picking the type. This is where the tween part starts. This is some alt code that also has some things that matter. Get time velocity. That kind of makes sense when it's being used. Yeah, this is basically the same thing that I'm doing here. This is using tweens already. This can be thrown in the animate, and the animate would need to do what? It would send a signal to the player with the properties of these in the resource effectively from the attack data. But I'd have to put that in the animation resource. But if I put that in the animation resource, it's no longer part of the attack data. projectile. Go to regular attacks. Has animation stuff. Green stuff, tag manager, etc. No 2D. Resets. Like that. Normal things. But the attack data, or the hitbox data, is in the hitboxes, not the hitbox data. The hit stun duration and hit back distance vector can be replaced with the animation resource. Because those two things, like the block stun and the block back distance, those two are different. Those ones are always constantly like one direction. If I want air block, we can decide that at some other point. Yeah. I can make default resources for default attack or stun types in the attack data. Active hitbox, attack manager, hitbox data resource. This has been not been changed. The two parameters hit stun, hit stun vector, and hit stun duration can be an animation resource. Instead, giving more control. Anything else in the data that makes sense to change? I don't think so. I guess the main goal for like these last 5 days were to make an animation tool that was more versatile. Fitting it into the other stuff is the complicated part. The projectile just doesn't work now. Can I try to fix this real quick? Okay. Let's do y is underscore active yes. Is function is underscore active changed if is active equals is active previous, only return false, else return true. Do this equals the new one, and do it again here. So if is active changes, you can call this instead. Instead of starting the timer when it's false all the time, if is active is false and is active changed, is true, and is active is changed. So when it activates, start the timer. Otherwise, disable the timer, reset the thing when the timer stops. So when the timer expires, reset the timer, reset the... Okay. If this active equals true, enable boxes, otherwise disable boxes. And also animate init. Host is facing right. And animation stuff. Animation stuff. Run it, try it. Send someone. Hmm. Do you have anything on the data? It's empty, so no. Code 1, 2, 3, 4. Run it. Try it. Dice. 5. That is just written incorrectly. Try it again. Enables and then just immediately disables, which is incorrect. Select a span. What did I set that to? Just change that to the proper 300. Its position shifts really weirdly. I set is attached to entity at some point. If so, attached to entity. Let's try that one first, because this one's probably more likely to work a little bit better. That is in fact going the correct direction away. Let's use this to 30 for each of them. It really jumps and does it weirdly. I don't like how it's doing that. It's very strange. On animation between players starting with both meetings. That's fine. It's fine. It's not like I'm trying to use that one right now. Let me go to this and just for the part where it says animates, put in a statement to stop that animate being in line. If this animation stuff, don't start it because I don't want to see that error, making me concerned for no reason. Yep. Okay. Now, it's not to the quality of what the testing was, which I'm not sure why. Why are you doing that, though? So I start the animation, and it starts, but it's not good, and it starts at the top, which is incorrect. It should not start there. It should go from the starting position to the position I'm at. So it would be the tool that's probably having the problem. So velocity does in fact work fine because we're not setting the position. Let me go like this. Do the tween property, thing to animate, position, final value variant, comma 0, vector 2 dot 0, because this is local position, And then the last thing is time. 0. Run it. See what happens. Nope. It just teleports it. Okay. Um, in here, I guess. Used to be here, maybe. 1, 2, top, down, up. Okay, that works better, but the X is still garbage. Wait, is it? It's moving out, but it's like abysmally small. How much is moving? Let's change this to 100 each to see if the X actually has an effect or if it's just not working properly. Okay, so it's not changing the current position. Let me. So it's first off just working 100 away from it. Second, it should be going from the starting point, which is the player, to the new location, not from nowhere to somewhere else. Is there a way to make this relative from current? That will move the sprite from position 100 to 200 and 200 to 300 if you use cleanproperty.com or clean property from current. The starting position will be overwritten by the given value instead. See and then the clean property. See how tweaking is done further. Not as relatives. Dot as relative. Not as bad, but still pretty bad. Why is the X coordinate teleporting? Why not get time? It's 50 frames. Why is it teleporting for the X? It's getting the same time, so why is one teleporting? I don't get that. It's just the X component that teleports. Like, it shouldn't be the X component that just teleports. Do dot as relative to both of these and test that one. And test the global position thing instead. Attach to entity reset. Well, it works exactly the same as it was before. And it works exactly how I'd like it to. You can switch whatever position you're facing and it's not broken. Okay, why is the X coordinate not doing what I need it to? Do I need this correct direction correction? Is it even being used? Or made? There are three matches for this. X dot is facing right minus 1. Print this. Print this value. Direction correction is set to 1. Okay, if I face the other way. Direction correction set to -1. But then what is this garbage? This works fine, but it might be running this. That is attached. Wait, was the direction correction working with that? No, that's not intended behavior. Okay, so attached to entity doesn't work properly. which I think is just something over here. Fix me. It's always true that it's the problem, right? Let's decide. Fix me. When attach to entity projectile flip on H within. Okay, then what is this doing if I don't have it? Doesn't do anything on that one. Okay, that's fine in that direction. That is not fine, so the correction is for this one and this one only. Only for the doorbell case is it needed. Okay, so then in the projectile, I need to make sure that it is set to the right side. Move dot delta. This is the moving portion. Move is not being called, which is probably the problem. We don't even use delta. Actually, because that's really all it's doing now. That, oh, goodness, that is not. What the? Wait, let me retry that with not changing it during usage. Right on that direction. But when I turn around, it breaks. Should this be first? Piano close. I don't know why I broke telephone. Don't feel like I removed anything important for that. It's attached. I turn around. I do the thing. It's bugging out. And it's just on both sides repeatedly, which is not okay. Attached side correction. Reset. If it's stopped, it's doing it repeatedly. If this trying it, so that only resets once. No, no, it's even more buggy by doing that. Should it just be like on its own? Okay. Yeah, it resets detached, but it's not if this. If this is done, what happens now? Oh, it becomes buggy the moment it's underneath the stopped. It should only change the side, but it shouldn't reset its position. Yet. It should only do that when the lifespan has been exceeded. Mm, it's one of those trial and error until it's fixed things, I think. Was it working better when this was the case? Which I don't think is the correct thing that happens. If its position is resetting the moment it's not being cleaned, I don't know if it should be. Okay. Attach side correction. And reset position detached. One of you is supposed to do one thing, the other of you is supposed to do the other thing, not both of you at the same time. Okay. If attached to entity and this happens, do this. This should be done any time, at every frame. Probably last. Reset position detached should only happen once the timer expires. Run it. Just get overwritten. It looks better. It's just not supposed to, change side. In the reset position stuff. If I do that, it's probably going to do the liveliness again. Yep. Don't give it an off sign. Okay. Doesn't the global work? I want to fix this thing again. Yeah, so when it's not attached to entity, I believe it works as is. It stays out. Works both sides. Okay, so the global's working fine. And that's only called when timer is stopped. Is it cut? Because it's a tween, can I multiply a tween by -1? Where's the part that says animate? Pretty sure I just used animate that on it again. It's not good. Texture. Don't want it to change side. If I can figure out why it's changing side, but I feel like it should be that the position x times -1 just fixes the problem. Let me do it every frame on its own without the attached side correction. Scale times -1 and position times -1. It's fine until it gets to the endpoint in which it freaks out. Okay, what if it's just what if I just do the one time? Because I might be doing 2 times the problem. Nope, still a problem. I don't get it. We're still solving a little bit. Self-stop position times -1. Let's just go scale instead. Is that why I did both? Because one is slightly further from the other. So that's why both are there. Let's do it with a variable stay this one, right? Okay. to do. Use this to make a fix for the sides problem. Question, do I need to change this ever? I should change it once. Only if it changes. I don't know why it won't fix the attached side. If I do that and do this, does it break the attached side? No, the global one is just free. The reset position is fine. I think it's doing its job right. Left side. Right side. It's hard to do with my left hand. To the left, they don't have the price for it. Okay. So it's only the attached to entity part that doesn't work. It mostly works for the X component. Because right now it's just not smooth. One second. Run it. That's upsetting. Because it's a constant, it just jumps, but if it's linear, it actually flows? Are you serious? Oh my goodness. 20. Is it supposed to be divided by a correction? I don't know. Run it. One of these is set wrong. The lines are all backwards for some reason. Start from 1. Does that make sense? What? First one should go forwards and up. It goes down and forwards. Counts towards me, which is incorrect. Okay. Is the divide by displacement or correction? No, that would just be a whole number change. Okay. Then 0 to 1, the linear constant speed. Okay. The y curve. No, we don't have that one. What have you done? Okay. Second element. Curve 2. Element. Okay. Curve 3. And curve 4. This gives me the correct sine waves, or triangle wave in this case, because it's not curves. I'd have to iterate it again, which would mean it would be ramping. So what would the preset be? Either smooth step or easing out. I don't remember. For positions, oh, okay, position animations and the position animations and the player animations are done differently because they're using different properties, and it changes things very, very much. It's a good thing to know. note in the documentation, the curves, the smoothing curves should be treated differently for the entities they have their velocity changed, and for the projectiles when they have their position changed. Okay. It's a pretty big difference between the two, and that could cause some problems. I don't like that entirely. Additionally, the twins seem to take over the property, which might make it more difficult to get the right side for the actual thing. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on some of this stuff. But I do like that I have more control to make more unique attacks or abilities or stuff. It'd be nice and fun to design them and then just make them. But then the trajectory might change of the attack because it's just not linear. So I might have to be very precise with my documentation on like character spreadsheets or data sheets. Okay. Alrighty. What do I need to do next? Not 100% sure. I think part of it is also because today is the last day I'm going to be working on this project for until I'm done school again and not on and are on break or working part time or full time. So in about 3, 4 months, then I can come back to this project. The animation tool is set up. The stuns can be edited. Use this system as well, hopefully. You can work on other parts of the project. The draft for the story is done already. That was done last summer. Other properties of attacks, uniformity in the code. I need to also upload this project to GitHub with its updates and backup to my devices. So I will do the hard backup now. I only go during after the ends of the stream as well. Alright, bye bye. Awesome.